Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow dodgeball enthusiasts. This is the Everything Dodgeball podcast, and I'm your host, Stefan Leitinger. Welcome to the first intro episode of this podcast, where I will give you a quick overview about me, my dodgeball journey, how I fell in love with the sport and the community, and why I believe this podcast might be something you would be interested in listening to and maybe be entertained by. So without any further ado, let's start the show. So hello again. Welcome to the intro show of the Everything Dodgeball podcast. As I said, my name is Stefan Leitinger. I play dodgeball for the Austrian national team, the Mighty Eagles, and also for my club, the Nasty Nutcrackers. Apart from dodgeball, I'm married. I'm a father of two beautiful children and work as a sports physio, and especially with people who have shoulder problems, so with a lot of dodgeballers. I started playing dodgeball in 2012 at a local fun tournament where it was just about having fun, partying, and throwing balls around. And soon after, we got invited to the European Championships in Chester in England and found out that people actually took this sport quite serious, and we were still there to party and have fun, but it kind of awoke something in us and it got our interest, and we decided to give it a go and try to do it more in a serious manner. And so we slowly but gradually started to implement trainings, started clubs, started a league in Austria, and slowly climbed up the ladder of the international dodgeball rankings. And then in 2016, when the dodgeball rules were changed from a 3-ball format to 5 balls, the cards were sort of mixed anew, and even though at the beginning everyone was kind of skeptic what this change would do for dodgeball, I think in the end we decided that was really good and really fun for dodgeball, and it started to get a little hype going in Austria. In 2016, I took over the women's national squad as a coach and also started training the Austrian national team, and also started a club, the Nasty Nutcrackers, which I trained as well, and really tried to begin my tactical journey and improve the sport to new heights. Our first great success, apart from the women, was the men's World Cup title in 2018, where we won the World Championships in New York City in the Madison Square Garden. And that was the first time we really knew we were capable of competing at the top and beating everyone in the world. And we kept working hard, and it all came to fruition in 2019 when we won the treble at the European Championships in Newcastle, at which point we sort of set the stage for cloth dodgeball. And then COVID hit. After the forced break because of COVID, we came back to international dodgeball in 2022 in the Netherlands, in Drachten, for the European Championships, where we performed actually quite good, but we felt like we weren't back to our game yet, and the people, the players on our squad weren't really recovered from the pandemic and the time of training that they have lost. So we really decided to put a lot of effort into it. And at the World Championships in Edmonton in 22, 6 weeks later, we put up a good fight and won 2 divisions, only coming second in the men's divisions, which was a great result, but still didn't feel like we really were where we wanted to be. So after that, we knew the next step would be our home World Championships, and we really got together and said that we would do everything to kind of be back at the top spot. And so we trained a lot for it. We tried to improve the tactics. We tried to improve certain physical aspects of our players and our squad, increase the squad depth, and it paid off. After this World Championships in Graz, I still really can't believe it that we won the treble, but we did in a very, very dramatic and close fashion in the men's and the mixed, and a very dominant way in the women's division. After the World Championships, lots of people ask me whether I'm gonna retire now, and after a lot of thinking, I decided that even though I may have won pretty much everything that this sport has to offer, and maybe I've reached the zenith of my sporting career, which I don't believe, but maybe, I still love the sport of dodgeball, and I love the community, and I want to be a part of it in the future. In my opinion, dodgeball is a really exciting and entertaining sport. It is very fast-paced. It has lots of different athletic skills involved. There are lots of variations of complex situations that need to be solved quickly and tactically. So it's really brings a lot of individual skills and also tactical team play aspects together. And I think also the community is a really inclusive place where everyone is welcomed. And at the highest level, dodgeball is a really watchable sport in my opinion. And I also want to be a part of helping the sport develop even more and get to a new place and a new level. And I think maybe this podcast might be a place where we can help shape this sport for the better in the future and have a lot of open and deep conversations with different people, different perspectives, and about certain topics that always go around in the dodgeball world. And I personally think and talk a lot about dodgeball with my friends and my players, my teammates, and I also enjoy that on an international level as well. So at the players' parties or at these international tournaments, I really enjoy the conversations I have with different players and listening to new perspectives and trying to push the sport further. So I think in this podcast, I want to do exactly that. So I want to talk about tactics. I want to talk about rules, rule changes, why we have the rules we have, which rules can be improved with players and refs and organizers. I want to talk about different variations of dodgeball and what we can learn from each other, not which one is the best, which obviously in my opinion is cloth, but that's mostly due to ignorance because I don't know much more than that. So maybe it will change in the future, and I think Nate will try to convince me of that. But I think we can really learn a lot from each other and help the sport grow in every direction. I would also love if the community would get a little bit involved into this podcast as well. Like if you have any questions, suggestions, critiques, or anything, please reach out to me over social media, especially Instagram or Facebook. And I'm always glad to hear new thoughts, hear new perspectives, and maybe have topics to talk about. So in the first few episodes, I will talk with Josh McElroy about his perspective on the importance of fair play in dodgeball. I will talk to Nate Crater on the oldest debate in dodgeball, which is the best format. So he's gonna be debating on behalf of the foam community, and I'm gonna give my thoughts on it coming from a cloth perspective, and maybe we can have a really good conversation and learn from each other, and maybe we're gonna try to convince each other, which I don't hope. But I will also try to have conversations with people who are involved in creating the rules and maybe giving their perspectives on why the rules are the way they are and what we can improve and so on. So I think If you love dodgeball, if you love thinking and talking about dodgeball, this podcast will be something for you. And again, please reach out if you have any inputs that might be of value. And if you have made it this far, thank you so much for listening. I know I'm not a native speaker, but I'll give it my best to make it a somewhat enjoyable product. And until next time, keep throwing those balls, try not to get caught, and take care.